Welcome, everyone. This is Sandy Bateman, the Director of Learning and Development with JER HR Group. We have with us today Grace Mott, who is our producer, and Sanchita Gopal is sort of our background producer. And then Matt Cross is here to speak specifically about ReviewCloud and to give you a little bit of a demonstration. I'll kick us off. Today, we're going to talk about the impact that technology is having on management performance in the organizations. So if you have questions or comments, feel free to put them in chat as we go through. Sanchita will help monitor chat, as will Grace. And then just also know we will end at 11:15, but Matt has agreed to stay on just a few minutes after in case there are questions. And we will stop the recording and then take questions. All right, so let's get started, Grace. Let's go on to the next slide. As we think about what's happening in the area of performance management and talent development, several things are changing. Technology is really reshaping how we look at talent development and what's needed. So we'll speak to that just a little. We'll go through some of the evolving trends, goals, and what you think you want to accomplish. If you joined us last month, we did go into more detail in these areas. We're just going to kick off today with a little quick refresher for those of you who may not have been with us. And then we'll get down to more specifics about what technology is actually impacting in performance management, refer you to a talent development ebook we just recently put together, and then turn it over to Matt to start on our demo of ReviewCloud. So let's move on to the next slide and we'll talk about how things are being reshaped. We're seeing one thing that is really changing is I think organizations are realizing with people working remotely that it's important to stay in touch more frequently. So, and instead of waiting till the end of the year to see performance management as a way to really look at, well, how you need to have your compensation changed, it's now, how do we develop people throughout the year? How do we coach people to meet their goals? And how do we identify high performers in terms of talent development? And so we're looking at people getting together more frequently. So we have more ongoing, real-time coaching among many of our clients and developing those individuals for future success, as well as coaching them to make sure that they're achieving their goals. When we look at, we still think that performance is important and that it be linked to compensation. There have been some trends in the past to decouple that. However, with funding as tight as it is with a lot of organizations, people feel that it needs to be somehow indicated how your compensation changes based on your performance. So there's a merit component. And that reward may be more than just your salary. So that's what we call total rewards. So compensation changes, benefits may include bonuses, merit pay, special allotments, special privileges. It may vary. It may include more work around remote work or more opportunities. It just depends on the organization. So we see that as a package that we call total rewards. And then, as I said, more focus in succession planning, looking at not only how individuals are doing currently, but how they will be moving forward. All right, so let's look at the next step in talking about where we're headed is, again, looking more at these evolving trends and looking at what is it you want to accomplish. Performance management is really moving towards performance coaching and becoming more of an organizational mindset to help individuals achieve their goals, and to have that ongoing feedback and a two-way feedback, and even to incorporate feedback from others on the team, not just the manager. So we're seeing a trend that a lot of organizations are requesting 360 feedback, meaning all around from everyone. If you've ever been in an organization that has done 360 feedback, it can be a Pandora's box, depending on how it's handled. Cultures work best with 360, where open and honest, but respectful conversations happen, so that people don't use that 360 feedback as a way to get back at people. So when we do 360 feedback, it's important to look at how it's done and what method is used. And many of the performance management tools now are adding that in the online options. And you'll see that when we talk about ReviewCloud. As I've been talking quite a bit, manager as coach is very, very important. And we are doing a lot of work with helping managers understand what it means to coach and give feedback to individuals. All right, next one. Technology has really become a game changer. Rather than having to keep up with lots of paper documents, figure out where to file them, how to go back to them throughout the year, the whole aspect of being able to get the things online is impacting performance management, just as it impacts your ability to store documents and share it within members of your team. And again, given that so many people are working remotely, this is critical. It's difficult to get together in the COVID situation. And so to have a tool that allows you to provide feedback and track documentations online, so that anybody can get to it, or you can allocate your access based on the role and the need for information, is so important. So that's what we mean by dynamic and intelligent. It is very proactive in that we can adjust things as needed. We can build in intelligence so that it knows who has access to that information and who doesn't, and what level or what role an individual plays. Cultural integration is a critical point to make sure that everyone in the organization is comfortable with the new tool, knows how to use it, and back to that 360 feedback, that those individuals also are comfortable and good at giving respectful, constructive feedback. And there are ways that we can pre-assign comments to limit open-ended comments if needed. We see all of this digital technology as an investment, not only for the company, but into the employee growth and organizational growth. There was a time when performance management was seen as a needed tool within an organization, but it was more around the organization's end results. How did their bottom line look? What did the profits of the organization look? So it's more about productivity for the organization. Now we're seeing performance management is more about the individual and seeing the individual as the cog in the machine that keeps everything running smoothly. So now, instead of looking at the top level of the organization as the producer of good effects, we look at the individuals as key components within that organization to help grow the organization and produce well. So it's kind of a different focus, but that different focus means it's even more important now to track and stay in communication with employees as they perform, develop, and grow in an organization. It's also important to hold staff accountable and see that through your ongoing tracking and see that investment as important for the growth of the employee in the organization. So I've mentioned an ebook. On the next slide, there's a little information about that. There's a link to that book, and Sanchita can put it in the chat as well so that you'll see that. Trainery.com white papers will get you there. It is a digital ebook, and it goes into a little more detail about a lot of the things that I have just quickly gone through as a review. So now that we've talked about how technology has shaped performance management, and we've talked about the importance of ongoing and regular follow-ups and management coaching, let's look at a model of one that we're developing to help make those tools available online. Now, I will share with you that this model is continually growing. We've got some great things now, and we have some great things coming. So I am going to stop talking. You can see here a list of some of its benefits. Matt, if you'd like to speak to these, and then Matt's going to share his screen and actually show you some of the screens from ReviewCloud. So I'm going to turn this over to Matt Cross, who is with the Trainery component of JER HR Group, and particularly focuses on helping to promote ReviewCloud within our clients. Matt Cross.
Thanks so much, Sandy, for the introduction. Much appreciated. And yeah, I'll take it over from here. Again, my name is Matt Cross with the ReviewCloud team here with JER and Trainery. And briefly covering some of the highlights of what you see on your screen now and what we'll be discussing for the next few minutes of our ReviewCloud performance management solution. A tool like this, and specifically this one, allows you to really focus and provide great feedback to employees. So using a solution helps alleviate some of the stress or the work of managing a process so that you can focus on that feedback. We've really focused on keeping ReviewCloud as simple and user-friendly as possible so that you can automate the employee reviews, the employee conversations that you have, or one-on-one coachings. It's a huge return on your investment just simply from saving on administrative hours or labor hours, management hours. You can ensure that the communication within your organization is aligned to your mission and culture in the workplace. It helps ensure accountability, and one of the things we'll show today in ReviewCloud is how the platform is set up to not only ensure accountability for management completing reviews and providing feedback, but also from employees when conducting employee-driven surveys or being able to provide input on their own conversations and set their own goals. ReviewCloud offers real-time reporting, the ability to view status reports by feedback or goals or employees. Flexible and customizable, which you'll probably hear me say flexible multiple times during the demo of the platform, because I think that's one of the key things for ReviewCloud is it permits so much flexibility as to really cater it to your specific and unique needs within your organization. It does provide dashboard analytics, a dashboard screen to, at a glance, quickly see activity within ReviewCloud. There is a HRIS integration with ReviewCloud so that we can pull some of the information from whatever HRIS system that you use to pull in employee profiles, past assessments, learning and development, training, tracking, etc. ReviewCloud does have a fully featured knowledge base, including training videos, so a whole help page and encyclopedia of how to utilize the platform within the platform. It is a cloud-based solution, which is great because that means for you there's no software to install or no servers to maintain. It is accessible directly through the website of the application. so that you can not only have to worry about or not worry about maintaining server or software, but you're also able to access it from any device with a internet connection. And as Sandy briefly touched on, there's constantly new features being rolled out through ReviewCloud as we continue to grow and expand what it can do and where it can be applicable. Grace, you can go ahead and hit the next slide for me, and I guess stop sharing, and I'll take over from there. Now I'm going to move over to my screen where I have logged into the ReviewCloud platform, which you should be able to see now. And I have two instances signed in that I'll be bouncing back and forth just so you can get a full picture of ReviewCloud. The current screen that you see pulled up is one of a manager or administrative user, so we can go through that back-end function of that role. But I've also logged in as an employee, so we can see what an employee would see with this platform when they're logged in. Back to the manager, we can see here the dashboard that I spoke of earlier. And so for this demo site, of course, I'm not going to pull up any active user or active company for privacy reasons. So not a whole lot of data populated here, but enough for you to get a feel for the layout and idea. But the dashboard page here just allows the administrative view of activity and goals that have been set, reviews that are scheduled, and conversations that have occurred. Speaking of the company settings, one thing that I want to point out is that you are able to completely customize your organization and hierarchy and groupings from the company settings screen within ReviewCloud. There is also a section here that would help with document retention. We have a file management system here to where individual employee files could be uploaded. Things like, for instance, on-the-spot coaching or past records that you have a PDF version of can be uploaded and added specifically and securely to a given associate. Or if it's a company-wide policy, acknowledgement, procedure, whatever, can be open source for everyone. Now I'm on a screen you saw from the employee view, but now as a manager, but the to-do list. So the scheduler task do list of what has been assigned to me. And I have populated a couple of things in here that we can discuss. One being a conversation that can be documented or take place through this platform, and one being a performance review. And the employee that I have signed in on the other screen, Austin Bell, myself as the manager, we can see the due date for these conversations or reviews, and then the current status for these. So within ReviewCloud, these forms that we can complete can either be employee-driven or not. So something like a conversation for feedback or a survey may be employee-driven, and we kind of hand the keys over to the employee to be able to fill in and answer the form or provide their own feedback. So this first step, as we see, may not necessarily be something that the manager is going to initiate. But if we switch over to the employee view, see this first list, event type, conversation. Austin Bell is being told that it's time to contribute. Give you an idea of what this looks like. Austin Bell can go in here and we can see the conversation form taking place. And this is a survey questions that we've pre-populated here. Just as an example, asking the employee how he feels about new software, workplace attitude, how do you feel your attitude was when you were at work this year, etc. And just to fill this out, test. And go ahead and submit this. The employee could also Click here to expand all. Easier. But now if we go
Matt,
back
we
to
have a
the
question
manager
really
view.
quick.
Oh yeah,
Can
sure,
you
go
en-
ahead.
Can you enlarge this?
Oh, sure, absolutely. Thanks.
Thank you.
Just using a browser zoom, so if it looks funky for a minute, fine. But there we go. We're still looking good. Is that better?
Yes, I think so. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Great. So now going back to the manager view, we can see that the conversation has been completed. The answers have been done by the employee. So now it's been kicked over to me as the manager to review before it being signed off and completed, so we can see what this looks like. They have finished the review, edit some of the settings for this. We could submit it, we could save it, etc. Go ahead and mark it off as complete. Now we also, in this survey section, have an opportunity as the manager to go ahead and edit if need be, or add additional details to this. That was just a quick example of the employee-driven forms that we have available through ReviewCloud, but one of the other options, of course, would be used for like a performance review, where it's not something that you necessarily want the employee to go in and set their own scores, but instead a conversation that you're going to have with them to cover performance over, in this case, like a quarter.
And Matt, we do have a question. Are there survey templates, and can they also be employer written? So do you have standard templates, and can they be customized?
I will touch on those forms right after this, so hold that question for just a moment. But here we are within the review form, and we can see again this for the demonstration. And here we can go over the, this is more of a scoring system, but this form has been set up, technical knowledge and rating the employee's knowledge for a given category. As Sandy mentioned earlier, ReviewCloud has the capability of having like the predefined comments. So instead of having managers rely on just typing in something that may or may not be, for lack of a better term, HR appropriate, having the predefined comments as something that's already been approved or reviewed is certainly a benefit. And within the performance review conversations, or the reviews rather, you have the capability to set goals for users. So we can see here setting a goal just for the purposes of the demonstration. Say this goal title is leadership development. And 2 leadership training classes. Employee Austin Bell. I'm this person's manager. The measure of progress for this specific goal, of course, target count of 2. But you see the other options that are there. If it is something that's more metric driven or a key performance indicator, you have the opportunity to type additional things there as well. The due date next week, create goal. The reason I was doing this live is now we can switch back over to the to-do list. You can see on the manager's to-do list, we've already got that goal set that is in progress. Back on the employees view, the same thing. They're able to also track from their to-do list the goals that they have started and what their progress is on it. And now going to jump directly over to the forms, which may help answer that previous question. So for the demonstration part, I had these forms already created and populated so that you could see what it looked like in action, more or less. But as an admin or HR manager, you are able to go into this form here, and we can create new forms, feedback form or a survey. create feedback. And we can see a list of all of the forms that this organization has created. We can add a new form, and this is where you would go to create your own custom review form. So for instance, annual reviews. Annual reviews 2022. This quote unquote, wizard or walkthrough of creating the forms allows you to set the score visibility. So who's going to be able to see this score? So we obviously, in this case, for the annual review, we want the employee to see it, a manager to see it, and likely any final approvers, such as an HR manager who will review it once an employee and a manager is completed. Who can edit this event? So in this case, making an annual review, potentially wouldn't want the employee to be able to edit, perhaps just the manager and the final approver. But for things that could be more of like a on-the-spot, one-on-one, or coaching conversation, et cetera, it could be a form created for employees to edit. You can also flag it here that it requires a manager review before being marked as completed in the file. So you then go to the next step, and the walkthrough tells you you've created this form. Now you can start adding questions.
Hey, Matt, is there any chance you can make it any bigger?
Sure, absolutely.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Now we're in the adding questions phase of this. We can see what the question text is, and this is all, again, to my point earlier of it being flexible. The amount of flexibility within this means you can create really any form with any type of question or system that you'd like. The question types that are available would be like an open-ended for someone to type in the response or answers, single select, multi-select, slider rating, star rating like we saw in the previous form for the reviews, or just simply a field for instructions on how to complete the form. Let's see. We'll go technical knowledge. Successfully added this question. And now we see the configuration of options for this question. And this allows you to put in I chose a star scale, so it's asking me for the number of stars that will be used. It may be 3, some places use 5, which I think is a pretty ideal number, or even as high as 10, 20, 100. We're going to stick with 5. But we can define the star scale here and flexible. So we can say what a 1 means. 1, individual does not meet expectations, requires additional training, et cetera. But this allows you to fill this complete form out, what each of the star ratings mean, to be a guide for when these conversations or reviews are being completed. And then once creating everything, the last step allows you to, or step 3 allows you to reorganize the order of questions as you go through if you need to make any tweaks. Then the question visibility. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to zoom out a little bit just to save me from having, well, we can do this. Okay. So the question visibility here, which we only have the one question, so this will be an easy example, allows you when creating or editing the form to set the permissions for who can see the question and the answer and who can edit the question and the answer. If anyone can view other responses, like if creating a survey for multiple employees, or to have it remain anonymous. We can see the fields here. Can the employee see the question? Can they edit it? Perhaps not in this case. The manager, visible. Can they edit it? Can they view other responses? Any additional participants, if you were to assign additional participants to participate? And the final approvers, such as that HR manager, and then the HR manager themselves, if not the final approver. There we go. And so that you can see, we'll go into one of the forms that I used for the demo, the quarterly review demo, quarterly review form, and see what a completed template looks like here. How this has been set up for display. And when it comes to these forms, one of the nice premium features with ReviewCloud is that our Platinum tier does include HR support that perhaps Sandy could speak to later if anyone has any questions, but an HR guide to kind of help with the either creation or the implementation of existing forms, migrating them into the system to use for the ReviewCloud conversations.
And also we can have a consulting package in which we help you with enculturating that into your organization, as well as training and development and preparation.
I don't want to go too far in depth because I don't want us to all be here. And I know it's past 11, and I know if I keep going much further, we'll be here until about 2 o'clock this afternoon. So I would welcome any of you who need a more personalized or deeper walkthrough to reach out so that we can schedule a time with myself and one of the JER folks, probably Sandy, to speak about your unique organizational needs and how this could help in implementation. One thing I did not show just briefly, though, is that with the creation of an organization, it does have the ability to create groupings like, departments, so that when you are, as an HR manager, assigning reviews to take place, for instance, or surveys to take place, for instance, we can assign these to an entire group. Is it for all users in the company, or is it just for select groups? So for instance, this demo company has a group of customer service, so that as manager, you don't have to individually assign conversations to occur for 50 people in one department. It could be direct reports within this customer service, and just everyone's going to have that assigned and calendared to have the feedback completed.
We do have some links for the ReviewCloud website, and if you would like to schedule a demo, so I'm making sure that those are posted to everyone so that you'll see those as well. Matt, we did have one question before we leave and go to more open-ended questions. And that question says, is it possible? I'm sorry. Let me get down to it. Is there a limit to the number of questions that you can create in a review?
To my knowledge, no. I haven't run into hitting a limit for those.
Okay. So I will point you all to the links in chat for requesting a demo, accessing the ReviewCloud website if you're interested, as well as the white paper or ebook that we mentioned at the beginning. So those are all in chat now so that everyone can see it. You will have access to the recording, and I believe Grace posted that in chat as well. It's on a YouTube channel, so that once this is done, you can go to that channel and certainly review this or share it with others as you may need to.
A link
So
to
with-
that recording will be available on our website.
And as you registered, you certainly should have access to our website, but Sanchita, if you'll put that in chat to everyone, that would be great, just to make sure they have it. So at
Excellent.
this
Thank you so
point,
much
we're
for
going,
the additional information. Yeah, I was just about to say the same thing. At this point, we'll go ahead and stop recording so we can take some questions.
take it over, Matt. That's where I was headed.
Sorry.